They called it the Good War. But behind every victory was a mother holding her dead child, crying in silence. Behind every flag waved a fallen soldier's lifeless body. And behind every quiet moment was a scream the world refused to hear. This is not just a story from the past. This is the story of how people burned themselves with hate and pain, just to feel something again.
The whole world is against Hitler and Hitlerism.
How did the world go from peace to the darkest war in history? How did millions lose their lives while others watched in fear and silence? This is a story of fear, hate, courage, and hope. A story we must never forget. Among those broken lives was a young soldier turned politician whose words would ignite a world on fire. In 1919, the Treaty of Versailles was signed. For Germany, this paper was like a wound bleeding forever. They lost land, power, and pride. They were forced to kneel and accept blame for a war many felt was not theirs. Humiliation didn't destroy Germany. It made the anger grow. A whole generation grew up with pain and dreams of revenge. One boy in this generation would grow up to be Adolf Hitler, a man who once failed as an artist and soldier. In dark times, he found a voice, and millions listened. His hateful speeches stirred millions to follow, promising pride but delivering destruction. He blamed Jews, communists, and the weak for Germany's troubles. He promised to make Germany strong again, but only by making others suffer more. Italy, Japan, and Nazi Germany, three hungry empires ready to fight. They didn't want peace. They wanted land, power, and control. On September 1st, 1939, Hitler made a secret deal with Stalin. They divided Poland like pieces of meat. Britain and France warned him not to attack, but Hitler laughed and crossed the line. This was the start of World War II. This was not just an invasion. It was a show of terror, blitzkrieg, lightning war, fast and deadly attacks that crushed everything. France fell in 6 weeks. Most of Europe gave up without much fight, but one island stood strong. Bombs fell from the sky, but Britain did not fall. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall never surrender. Hope didn't win the war, but it stopped Hitler from winning it all. Britain became a beacon of resistance, holding the line when all seemed lost. On June 22, 1941, Hitler betrayed Stalin. He launched the biggest attack in history, Operation Barbarossa. But Russia was different from Poland. It suffered and froze, but never broke. The Battle of Stalingrad was a frozen hell, where soldiers fought amid ruins and snow, refusing to give up. On December 7th, 1941, Japan attacked the U.S. at Pearl Harbor. They thought America would run away. They were wrong. This is a date which will live in infamy. The war was no longer just in Europe. It had spread to the entire world. 6 million people disappeared without a fight, not on battlefields but in places made for killing. Ghettos, camps, gas chambers. This was the Holocaust. The murder of Jews, Roma, disabled people, and many others. A terrible time when humanity forgot its own kindness. Stalingrad, a city turned into hell. 1 million people died there. This was Hitler's first big defeat. The war began to change. Nazism's fast march slowed. In June 1942, America won a great naval battle at Midway. 4 Japanese aircraft carriers were sunk in minutes. From this moment, the U.S. slowly pushed Japan back. In North Africa, the Allies stopped Rommel, the Desert Fox. His dreams of conquest burned to ashes. On June 6, 1944, 156,000 soldiers landed on the beaches of Normandy. The world watched as freedom came with a high price. Blood, sweat, and sacrifice. The Allies pushed in from the west, the Soviets from the east. Berlin burned. The Axis powers were trapped. On April 30th, 1945, Hitler chose death over surrender. On August 6th and 9th, 1945, the U.S. dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Over 200,000 people died instantly. This new power promised peace, but at a terrible cost. 85 million dead, cities reduced to rubble. Yet, from the ashes, a small hope remained. The world said, never again. But soon, the Cold War began, a new shadow over fragile peace. The war shaped new ideas about human rights, justice, and how nations must work together. The Nuremberg trials punished war criminals, and the United Nations was born to protect peace. World War II was more than armies fighting. It showed the darkest sides of humans and the strength to survive. In smoke and ruin, we lost innocence, but we found something else, the terrible cost of hate and the quiet hope for a better future. The war is a warning etched in history, one we must remember every day. What have we really learned? Can we choose hope instead of hate before the next war begins?